This is a reading of Death at Gallows Green, the second in the Victorian Mysteries series and the direct follow-up to Death at Bishop's Keep. There will be times when the correct pronunciation eludes me, as I am not a native English speaker. As well will there be moments in this book, as in the last, where there is written in accent, and I do not claim to know how that accent sounds or if I am pronouncing it right. I will try to read it as it is written. Chapter 1. "Where shall I begin, please, your majesty?" he asked. "Begin at the beginning," the king said gravely, "and go on till you come to the end, and then stop." Lewis Carroll, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. The gentle southern breeze that rifled the fresh green grass of the Essex meadows was mild and fragrant. Both sides of Lamb's Lane were strewn with lacework of celandine and angel eyes and stitchwork, and a glossy blackbird showered the hawthorn hedge with his courtship song. Amelia walked with a watchful trepidation, her heart beating as she scanned the hedgerows for a sign of Lawrence. Once or twice she glanced back in the direction of Mrs. Windle's garden to make sure that none of the members of the girls' friendly society had seen her steal away. It was unlikely that they had, for the group was large and celebratory, and Miss Windle and the parish ladies were greatly harried by the exigencies of teapot and tea-tray. But the cucumber sandwiches and fresh strawberry tarts on the tables in Mrs. Windle's garden would shortly be eaten, and the programme would begin. It was to consist of a dramatic reading of Napoleon at Waterloo by Mr. Windle, a recitation by the infants of the National School, dressed for the occasion as fairies, barefoot and with toy wings stiffened with wire, and several songs by the school's monitress, Miss Flora Watson. Among them Home, Dearie Home, and Because, which always made Amelia's sentimental heart melt within her. Sadly, Amelia's errand required her to forego these delightful entertainments, but the afternoon was short, and she had to be back at Bishop's Keep to help Mrs. Pratt with tea. It was true that her mistress, Mrs. Artley, was away at a house party near Long Melford, but all the other servants would be there, and Amelia would be missed if she were absent. Mrs. Pratt had allowed her an extra half-day to attend the annual garden party for the young women in the service in the parish, and she would be livid if she suspected Amelia of exploiting the occasion for a hole-and-corner rendezvous. So if Amelia were to see Lawrence at all, it would have to be during the programme. Amelia's chestnut hair was thick and shiny, her eyes were cornflower blue, and she was wearing her best dress, a white lawn with a frill of knitted lace pinned at the throat and a narrow flounce at the hem. Lawrence, the handsome dark-haired footman at neighbouring Marston Manor, would not be her last lover, but he was her first, and the anticipation of their meeting brought a deeper blush to her already pink cheeks. "Oh!" she exclaimed, as if surprised and even frightened by the sudden large hands that spawned her slim waist. And then "oh" again, as the hands whirled her around, and "oh," quite muffled, as Lawrence boldly kissed her, her small hands beating in a pretence of resistance against his broad shoulders. "Lawrence, you naughty!" she exclaimed when she was released and could breathe once again. "Not in the lane, we'll be spied." "We could go through the hedgerow then," Lawrence suggested with a sly grin, possessing himself of her hand. He pointed. "That's the back of old MacGregor's garden. Below is the apple trees. Wouldn't be spied on there now, would we?" Amelia's answer was a rosy giggle, and in another minute the two had slipped through the twiggy gap in the hedge and into the green and silent garden beyond, where after a moment's warm embrace, a flurry of kisses and more stifled giggles, Lawrence tucked his pretty charmer in the direction of a thickly wooded copse. "I can't," Amelia said, resisting. "I have to get back." "Would you hurry?" Lawrence asked, teasing her forward with a step. "It'll be songs for an hour." His smile was guileless. "Anyways, we're just going to sit a minute or two. Won't hurt to bide a bit, will it?" "Well," Amelia said slowly, allowing herself to be persuaded in the direction of the cops. Who knows what improprieties Lawrence might have tempted her to, had they not come upon an unexpected huddle of Navy search deep in the thorny blackberry tangle. Amelia stepped back, startled. "Who's that?" she exclaimed. "Dunno," Lawrence said, pushing the burgeoning undergrowth aside, bending over for a better look. "A gypsy, I reckon, sleeping. There's a flock of them camped in the field at Bailey's farm." "That's no gypsy," Amelia hissed to Lawrence, bent back. "Not in that get-up. And he's not asleep, 'cause his eyes is open. He's drunk." She wrinkled her nose in distaste. "Come away, Lawrence, and leave the man be. I don't want him to see us." Lawrence straightened and turned grim. "He's not going to see us," he said. "Not nobody else neither." Amelia took a step forward, wondering at the look on Lawrence's face. "Why not?" "'Cause he's dead," Lawrence said. "Poor bugger," he added with feeling. The poor bugger was Sergeant Arthur Oliver of the Essex Constabulary, late constable of the hamlet of Gallows Green. He had been shot in the chest at very close range.